What's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad and Empowerment Network. So the UNC are swearing in their members today. New government's in charge, new government's in place, and by the time this video gets released, you'd probably have your new members sworn in. So congrats again to the UNC. Well done. They won by a landslide. Let's hope that they make the changes that Trinidad does require. But I want to warn you. Trinidad and Tobago is facing an economic storm. I do not say this lightly. Trinidad and Tobago is facing an economic storm unless we, the people, act now. If we don't, our future could be locked into poverty, debt, and dependency. And today, I want to break this down and explain to you exactly what I mean by this. So, Trinidad and Tobago, our national debt at the minute stands at around 115 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars. 115 billion TTD. That's roughly 17 billion US dollars when you convert it, of course. Now, that number might not mean much to most people. You hear those numbers, like, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's, we're in debt. That number is huge, and it does mean a lot to you. What happens to you, how much money you own, what happens to your local school, the roads, infrastructure, you name it. This number is very, very significant in terms of how it's going to affect you. So our economy relies, or what we produce in a year from oil and gas and rum and banking and construction, our economy is worth around 205 billion TT dollars. That's around 30 billion United States dollars. So our debt to GDP ratio is currently around 56%. That means for every $100 we earn as a country, we already owe $56 to our debtors. And here's the thing. We have to pay interest on that debt every year. So before we can fix or invest in the roads, invest in our schools, invest in our hospitals, invest in crime prevention and crime prevention measures, we have to pay the interest on the debt that we owe. It's like working a full-time job and more than half your salary is already spoken for before you're even paid. That is our national reality. So why is this dangerous if you do not comprehend why it's dangerous already? Normally, a country like Trinidad could survive that. This is not new. This has been going on in the Caribbean for a long time. In fact, there are many other Caribbean islands who are worse off. That's nothing to brag about. That's just the reality. But if you look at what's happening in the world now globally, America is becoming more aggressive with trade and sanctions. You've seen it. You've seen it with the tax, the tariffs. It's all over the news every day. Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. America is becoming more aggressive. Trump is becoming more aggressive with these tax and tariffs. As we know, Trump's been back in power for just over 100 days now, and he's already shut down the Dragon's gas deal with Venezuela. That was a huge deal to Trinidad. That was a multi-million pound deal. That could have been a lifeline for Trinidad and Tobago. But despite us being a sovereign nation, Donald Trump said no, and the Dragon's gas deal was shut down. We cannot claim to be sovereign if we're being spoken to like we're kids by Donald Trump. So we missed out on billions potentially in gas profits because the US doesn't like Maduro and Venezuela. We've now found ourselves stuck because we rely so heavily on the US dollar, US banks, US oil companies, and of course, US approval. We are, I remind you, supposed to be a a sovereign nation. So now that America, like I said to you before, is falling out with just about everyone, China, Europe, Canada, even Mexico, is becoming more and more isolated. What Trinidad needs to do is start fixing our house before it's too late. We are still way too dependent on America. Way too dependent on America. We need to start fixing our house before it's too late. So these are some of the things I believe the UNC government needs to do. Number one, I believe the UNC government needs to diversify who we trade with. Now, we need to strengthen our ties with BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, those countries. We need to strengthen, or we need to form some sort of allegiance with the BRICS pack and drop our over-reliance on the United States. That can only strengthen Trinidad and Tobago. These are the skilled negotiators we need now to be working on these deals. Number two, I believe we need to rebuild our energy independence. We need to somehow find a way to reopen talks with Venezuela, whether we do it through CARICOM. We cannot do it alone. We are a small island of 1.4 million people. We need the assistance of the CARICOM nations as well to help us to get this deal through. This is why CARICOM was created. This is why you have the European Union. For that unity, we need the backing of CARICOM to get this deal through. We need to create a national wealth fund, I believe. Every oil and gas dollar should go into a public wealth fund similar to the likes of Norway. Norway did it many years ago. They're now a extremely rich country. The money must go into a wealth fund, a national wealth fund that's going to benefit the people of Trinidad, not foreign companies, and not the handful of multi-millionaires and elites that use Trinidad as some sort of cash cow. Number four, I believe we need to back local businesses and farmers because over 80% of the food that we eat in Trinidad is imported. That is insanity. We must produce locally. We must back small farmers. We must stop wasting foreign exchange on imported chlorinated chicken and ketchup and all the garbage we import from America that's no good for us. No wonder we have a diabetes issues in the Caribbean because we're eating junk imported from America. Food, by the way, that the European Union refused to import into Europe. We get it in Trinidad from America. We need to protect our currency. The TT dollar is vulnerable. Whether we need to peg it to a basket of currencies, not just the US dollar, we need to use local banks, not just foreign banks. And that way we could control our capital. We could control the money better if we have control over it locally. We need transparency, though. We need transparency. So, in my humble opinion, and I'm no economist, this is what we must do. This is what we must do. Support local businesses, push for transparency. That is absolute key. We need to push for transparency with government. Government transparency is key. We need to know where the money's going. We need to know who's taking the money. We need to know. It needs to be open. It needs to be public. We need to hold this government to account. We absolutely need to hold the government to account to what they say. If we don't do it now, what are we doing? What are we doing if we're not holding them to account? We need to really educate ourselves on global economics as well. Most people don't know anything about what happens in America, how it directly affects us in Trinidad and Tobago. I find this astonishing. And you don't understand this until it's too late. And normally it's too late because you're not, you can't get foreign exchange, or you're not getting a pay rise, or the stuff in the groceries are going up constantly and you can't afford it. Trinidad at the minute is standing at a crossroad. We can either build a new independent future, or we can become a permanent outpost for foreign wealth and local poverty. That's the crossroad. That's the decision we have to make now. We cannot afford to wait for politicians to fix this alone. We have to take action. You're the one that put them in charge and they made you promises. We have to hold them accountable. We must understand the game and play it smarter than ever before. The world is changing. The world is changing before your very eyes. You only have to look at what's going on in Africa. You only have to look at what's happening with countries like Burkina Faso, their leader, Ibrahim Traore, how he is transforming that country in such a short time. We have all the resources to do that and way more in Trinidad. But we need real leaders. We don't need managers. We need real leaders, real leadership. That is the only way. So those are just a few of my ideas. If you're joining us on Trinidad Empowerment Network for the first time, please like and subscribe. For those who haven't already, please like and subscribe. It's only through you we can grow this channel, and that way we can hold the people in power to account. When I talk about accountability, we can only do so in numbers. Right? So, the more of us the more of us that's resonating with this message, the more we are likely to hold the people in power to account. So let us start here. Let us start with Trinidad Empowerment Network. I look forward to seeing your comments, whether it be positive or negative. I try and engage with most of you as best as I can. Yes, I do my best. But please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on my next video. For now, much love. Take care. God bless. Peace.